The NBA playoffs is in the conference semifinals, but we got to write an email about one of the game sevens in the first round. Cole Sports presents On the Daily. How are you doing, VIP? Cole Johnson here on the mic as always on the daily, presented by Cole Sports is on tap. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this wonderful channel, like this video, go ahead and comment below as well. And also, don't forget that notification bell as well. And if you want this shirt that I'm wearing, it's simple. Just go to the description box below. And now it is time for us to warm up. And we're going to warm up with the conference semifinal round in the National Basketball Association. Now, so far in the Eastern Conference, it's been a snore fest. I mean, the two games, two games in each series has been played. It's been pretty much as the Heat has gone up 2-0 against the Bucks, and the Celtics going up 2-0 against the Raptors. And speaking of ho-hum, the third in the four games in the conference final round went underway last night. 120-97, the Clippers dethroned and just defeated the, I guess you could say, overworked and tired Nuggets. And we'll talk about the Nuggets a little later. Game one tonight of the fourth and final conference final matchup, the Rockets and the Lakers. LeBron is, I should say, the whole team, not just LeBron, is healed up. The Rockets, of course, had to stave off the team formerly known as the Seattle Supersonics 2 nights before. That should be something. Also tonight, game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinal matchup between the Heat and the Bucks. The Heat are up 2-0. But here's the question I have to ask, and you can comment in the comment section below. Has the death blow been administered to the Bucks after that heartbreaking 116-114 loss in game 2? Or can they rebound like the Raptors did last night against the Celtics, game 3, Eastern Conference semifinals? Now, the game, I won't say between the Celtics and the Raptors was good or great or okay, but it was something to behold because the Celtics tried to pull away. The Raptors just kept fighting back. But the last minute of that game, very captivating. I mean, look at like this. So the Raptors are down 2-0, and they claw back multiple times. And then all of a sudden, Fred VanVleet, easy for me to say, he took his man off the dribble, bodied him a little bit, and performed a reverse layup, and they were down 101-99, and they tied it up at 101. Now, not to be outdone, on the opposite end, Kemba Walker drained the clock almost all the way down to 0. He penetrated, drew 4 Raptors defenders before he made this wonderful bounce pass in the paint for an easy dunk, and it was only 0.5 of a second remaining. Celtics up 103-101, but definitely not to be outdone. An inbounds pass from Kyle Lowry to OG Anunoby. Wide open, no Celtic near him, and he drains a 3 with no time remaining. And now that series is now 2-1 in favor of the Celtics. But the Raptors, they may have saved their season. They at least extended it an extra game. But have they saved their season? You can also comment below in the below the description box as well if you think the Raptors have saved their season with that performance. Who knows? We'll see tomorrow night when they play game 4. But they look as though they want to actually have a series with the Celtics. They don't look like they're bored anymore. And I think that was the problem I saw with them. Definitely in the first game, a little bit in the second game as well. But maybe that is over. Okay, I think we've warmed up quite considerably, and it's time for the main event. And yes, I'm going to have to look back a little bit. The first round of the NBA playoffs was okay. I won't say it was great. I won't say it was bad. It was okay. You had one series go 6 games. You had 2 series go 7. Now, the series that I think people knew was going to go 7 was the team formerly known as the Seattle Supersonics and the Rockets. They went 7, 104-102 Rockets. They advanced and played the Lakers. The other surprise game 7, the Jazz and the Nuggets. And the first 6 games have been something. Game 7 was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And because of that, I just got to give these teams props. Email Utah Jazz and Denver Nuggets. Subject to female. You were fantastic. Body of email. All right, here we go. The first 6 games of this series was phenomenal in terms of individualistic play. I mean, they played both teams similar to the same style as most of the NBA has played, because they were putting, the Jazz and Nuggets both were putting up between 220 and 240 points in each game. So with most of the NBA, it's been an offensive onslaught. This series has also been an offensive onslaught. Just think of the 2 superstars of these teams, Jamal Murray of the Nuggets, Donovan Mitchell of the Jazz. Now, both put on brilliant performances and displays of offense, both the guys averaging over 30 points, both guys averaging over 55% from the field, both guys averaging over 50% from 3, and both guys shooting over 90% from the free throw line. Now, the offensive exhibition in the 6th game gave way to a defensive struggle in Game 7. All right, this is what it offered. Game 7 had it all. It had important possessions. It had rotating defensive pressure, not just one player, all 5. It had scintillating post play on both sides of the floor. It had drive, it had determination, it had hunger. You knew that something big was riding on this game, because any 10 guys that was on the floor, they were competing to outdo one another. The 5 on one end was trying to outdo the other 5. That is what playoff basketball is about. That is what basketball that I used to know was all about. Now, let's speak of post play for a second. Now, one of my favorite players in the NBA is Nikola Jokic. Now, he has great presence on the court anyway, but in the post in particular, he knows how to play on the outside. Obviously, he has a Jack Sigma-ish type of style to his game, but he plays very well though with his back to the basket. Now, although he had a game high of 30 points, he worked for all of those points. Why? Because the guy guarding him, Rudy Gobert, was earning and living up to his Defensive Player of the Year status. Now, his reputation has been a fierce rim protector, and he did not disappoint in Game 7. He protected that rim as best he could. In fact, even in foul trouble early, he started to ratchet up the intensity and he got more aggressive, and it actually worked for him. All right. So I talked about how the offense just was flowing. Both teams combined to score 158 points. Now, there was a game early on, I think it was between the Rockets and the Nets, where the final score was 159-158. Yeah, you had two teams that scored as much, if not outscored, those two teams combined. But I would take this 80-78 game over the 159-158 game any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I mean, you had the Nuggets, they scored 15 points in the first quarter and 15 in the fourth. The Jazz, they couldn't score more than 36 points in the second half. I mean, the defense was stellar. It was stellar. Neither team shot 40% from the field. They missed almost 50 of 65 combined threes. I mean, that probably is the only minus of that game, but I understand that. Sometimes you play not to lose, sometimes you play a little tight and tense, but the way the rotating defenses were, it had a hand in making those shots not fall. Now, as for Murray and Donovan, well, Murray only scored 17 in the game. Mitchell only scored 22. But both teams committed to let another guy on the opposing squad beat them. And that's normally what you're supposed to do if you get to know a team 6 games in. You want to throw your best defensive look at the opposing best offensive option. That's what both teams did, and both teams succeeded. Now, the Jazz simply could not stop Jokic. Well, how can you stop a 7-foot locomotive that knows how to play smooth brand of basketball? It's very difficult. But I mean, look, we saw double teams. We saw team defensive rotations. We saw effort on both ends of the floor. We saw them getting after loose balls. I mean, this game was a throwback to the 1990s. I mean, this was how those games that I saw, all the Bulls playoffs games I saw with the Knicks and even with the Pacers, the Pacers Knicks series, the Rockets Suns even. This was how those games were contested in the playoffs. It was gritty. It was effort filled. You earned every single point with every single possession, and you didn't chunk up an ill-advised shot with 5 seconds off the shot clock. You used as much of the 24-second shot clock as you could to get yourself the best shot you could. That is basketball at its finest. Now, the only heartbreaking thing about this whole thing was, outside of the Jazz, of course, having to go home, was the fact that they had a 3-1 series lead against the Nuggets. And now, unfortunately, they have this ignominious honor of being the 12th team in NBA history to hold a 3-1 series lead and go home at the end of that series. What sucked about this, though, was the Jazz and Nuggets were slept on in terms of a series matchup altogether. And although we had other series that caught the basketball fans' attention, like the Lakers Blazers, like the Clippers Mavericks, like the Rockets and team formerly known as the Seattle Supersonics, those held our interest a little more. However, the best first round series was the Jazz and Nuggets. In fact, I will go so far as to say this was the best first round series I have seen in a long time. And that was the best thing that's happened in the bubble since July 30th. No joke. They put a wonderful performance and an exclamation point with an all-out effort for the ages to completely leave it out on the court and floor. That is all any fan of any sport could ask for. Cole Johnson, Cole Sports with the Z.com. Now, if you want to catch this and every other show, all you have to do is like this video. Go ahead and like this video. Don't be afraid. And also comment below. I want to hear what you have to say. And don't forget to subscribe to this show and hit that notification bell. It is all for you. VIP. I love you. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful Labor Day holiday. you will get an episode Monday because we're going to talk about Patrick Mahomes. I am Cole Johnson, and this has been yet another installment of Cole Sports on the visual and on the daily.